Hi dear friends, this is Dima, the tutor. In this video, let's discuss such a very interesting task at PTE test called Describe Image. You see an image before you, in front of you, yes, so I will tell you a few words now about it because maybe you're watching such a thing for the first time and you don't know anything about the task, Describe Image. So, there is a very funny task, a Duolingo test called Describe Image. But unlike here at Duolingo, we have really very often funny, interesting images from everyday life. Maybe even they just have some shade of humor in them, so it may be some actions of people. So here in PTE, we have, you see, tables, charts, and all that jazz. Tables and charts, in theory, they require a special language to describe them. Of course, if you want to sound academically, yeah? Or if it's academical, yeah, but sound academical in this case, yes. If you prepared in life to IELTS, I think it's going to be a very good help to you because basically the approach should be the same, I believe. Of course, different maybe tutors and schools, they have a different opinion about to this, but in PTE, we have such a situation. When this task begins, you have 25 seconds to look at this beauty, and then in 40 seconds, so you have to speak for 40 seconds. I think you will realize that 40 seconds is not very much. So it's a minus and a plus at the same time. So on the one hand, I can in 40 seconds to disclose the beauty of my English. It's not so easy. On the other hand, if you don't know what to say, these 40 seconds will be like a salvation for you because imagine that you have to speak about it for 3 minutes. So you will just have to keep silent if you don't know what to say. But 40 seconds, they fly very fast and so on. What else, guys? So unlike IELTS graph description, here, luckily, we are welcome to combine in our speaking those linking and redundant elements of speech with academic speech. For instance, you're welcome to say, well, actually, and another interesting feature, I think, or I believe here is that, and so on and so on. In IELTS, we have just to write here something can be observed, and as is shown in the graph, you can reproduce something like this here, but I have listened to several samples of PTE Describe Image at their official site, at YouTube also. I want to tell you that if they tell the truth, so it's not very difficult to get a normal score here. At least I listened to 3 samples of the description of not this graph but something else. I don't remember. And they are a high score. Let's say a guy was given, let's say, something like 70 out of 90 or maybe even more, and most of those 40 seconds, he was producing something like, well, actually, something like that. And for that smacking, he got 70 or even more. I don't remember the scale, but I remember I know the PTE scale, but in that video he was given a very good answer, you see. And so we can imply that if it's a very good answer, it should get something like 70 out of 90, not less. So if it's really true, which I doubt greatly, then it's very nice. I have such a friendly warning to you. It concerns all the tests of English. IELTS, Duolingo, PTE, anything. For instance, you want to hear some good samples of speaking. You go to YouTube. You click there, you input something like PTE speaking, describe image, band 70, yes, or a very high band. Yeah, you will find something, but the problem is that in those videos, mostly native speakers of English, let me highlight this again, not non-native, but native speakers of English, they write, you see, initially they write the scenario, like for this, and then they reproduce it with such a firm countenance, and but it's a circus. It's fake, it's not real. You will not speak like that. Firstly, because you don't have time to write it. And secondly, you're not a non-native speaker. So I don't trust and I don't like such videos. I was tutoring people for IELTS for more than 15 years. And I have seen such videos, like a lot of them. But the matter is that I heard real speakings from IELTS when 10 years ago or 8 years ago, smart watches appeared, and several of my students, they managed to record, though it was like illegal, yes, but they managed to record IELTS speaking while they were doing it. And believe me, to get like 8 out of 9 at IELTS, if you hear tutorial speaking, and then if you go to YouTube and see something like IELTS speaking band 8, believe me, there is a huge difference. So never trust those videos, not because the guys want to cheat you in those videos, no, I don't know why. You know, it's very, it will take a long time for us to discuss, but you know, for you not to be angry with me that I'm philosophizing here, all this information I'm sure is necessary, is essential to your success. So please be patient, and now we will describe this thing. To describe it is not a big deal, yes, to mumble something in 30 seconds, but you should feel the approach, you see. And to feel the approach, you need to have some experience. I have this experience of tutoring people for over 20 years for these things. And I'm a non-native speaker myself. You see that my speaking is not ideal, and I'm proud of that. Only, I'm sure, a non-native speaker can really understand a non-native speaker, you see? Yeah. In Ukrainian and Russian language, there is such a saying that if to translate it into English, like a well-fed person is not a friend to a starving person, you see? A starving cannot understand that full person, you see? Because they're different creatures. They think about different things. So the same applies here. Okay, guys, what else? Yep, now let's proceed to the graphs themselves. This one, as all the rest in my videos, is taken from real PTE. It's a big advantage of this. So you're now looking at a real one. So, but you know, I have looked at several of them, and honestly, I don't like the interface or something like that. They provide such strange, very often strange tables. For instance, let's look at this. On the x-axis, we have ending year. In the humanity history, years to double population of Earth. Okay, when the years to the how many years it takes to double the population of people. Okay, it's not difficult to understand. And ending year, here you see 1718, 19, 2000. Okay, it's clearly understood. Then years to double, so I can presume here how many years it takes to double the population. Okay, very nice. But when we look at this curve, look here, please. 4 years, 0.375 to 0.75 billion. Okay, what does this 544 mean? I don't know. Then the next point, yes, 304 years. Does it mean that it took from here to here 304 years to double the population? But in this case, how it could take like 300 years if this span is only 100 years, yeah? And something like that. So here, it's a rigmarole, you know, nothing abracadabra. Yeah? So what to do if you face such a situation? Yeah, there is a a surefire way for us. If you please describe that which you see or feel or you're sure about that it is correct. In 40 seconds, you will stretch it. Believe me, using those actually, well, believe me, and la la. You will. So I will speak about the general trend. Yeah, we see that the general trend is a descending one. And of course, you can understand that what they mean mostly is that with the flow of time, the humanity, it took lesser and lesser span of time for the human population to double on the planet Earth, you see? Yes, I think it's obvious. And you shouldn't please bother yourself with these statements because they are strange. They are really weird. They will mislead you and yeah. Okay, so let's make an experiment. I will now, as I said, mumble something in 40 seconds and so you think, please, what would you say? Okay, let me click retry. Retry. You don't see the timer, but I see. Okay, so I have 25 seconds to look at this. So I'm looking. Imagine that when you're excited, yes, you're forgetting everything that you remembered even in your childhood, yes? Okay, it's normal. Still, I hope you remember such words as increase, decrease, yes, to look, to presume, to suppose, to tendency, trend, something like that. Okay, 2, 1, 0. Okay, start. So in this graph, I see that with the flow of time, it took lesser and lesser amounts of time for the human population to double on the planet Earth. For instance, if we see at the beginning of the graph in 1700 and in 1800, so this span of time, and compared to, for instance, 2000, and I believe this is a projection for, I don't know, 2050 or something like that, we see this the span of time here is like 5 or 6 times less than here. It means that the human population doubled at a growing pace. And of course, no, it's no surprise that this curve is descending without any major, by the way, fluctuations. Yeah. Okay, that's it. You see? And 40 seconds have gone. Yes, you see? I didn't even have time to plunge into some detail here. You see? Nothing. By the way, really, I don't understand what it is. I think it's a projection. Yes. Yeah. But this is an example of an inconvenient graph. You know, we shouldn't discard the psychological factor. At least I face it with every student. When you sit down at the actual test, you feel excited, yeah? Most of you, let's say 9 people out of 10. Maybe one of you has such a nervous system as an alligator, but I think it's not very likely. So when you're excited, on the one hand, your brain processes, they accelerate because of adrenaline and other hormones. On the other hand, if there is too much adrenaline, you feel stuck, paralyzed, yes? So this excess of adrenaline, it really interferes and hinders our success. So you should count for that and prepare psychologically with your tutor. I'm sure a lot of tutors, so they do an improper thing. They open thick grammar textbooks and read and make their students read all that nonsense. It's, as you see here, it cannot be applied. You will not have time to think about how to morph your sentences into something beautiful using something like having been done, have been done, because you will be excited. On the other hand, if you remember that, you can always dilute your performance with those actually and honestly and something like that. It's very nice, because in this case, it will save you and add to your score. Okay, let's take one more, by the way. Again, this one was taken from a real PTE. So this graph is not so misleading as the previous one. So let's read what it is. Dubai gold sales in 2002. Dubai gold sales in 2002. Nothing special. On the other hand, this graph is again inconvenient because it gives us no information whatsoever. I mean, just at least everything is clear. We have months. We have millions of by the way, this word diagrams or dirhams or dirhams, it can be pronounced in 5 or 6 ways. So you please decide which you like, but it doesn't matter. Let's pronounce it dirhams or diagrams. Yeah. If we look at this, we see that mostly the trend is not descending and not ascending. It's a horizontal. So mostly it's a plateau, mostly, with some minor, maybe not minor, you decide whether to call them considerable, here not very significant, yes, let's call this one a considerable fluctuation. So here we have some peak, and let's call here we have some maybe troughs, but the word trough cannot be applied to this moderate lowering. I don't know, you decide. It's very vague, everything of this. Yep. So we see that in March, yeah, there was a peak, and in July and September there were some decreases. Yes. What else? Yeah, you remember please, they love when you compare something. Comparison is great. Comparison is the ultimate achievement of your description of the graph, and it applies also to science. Why? Because imagine that you're talking to me and I don't see this graph. Due to your comparisons, my brain, it paints better pictures of what's going on, because our brain loves associations, and comparisons allow for those associations. The more comparisons, the better, if they, of course, they are formulated normally. So we can compare that, for instance, in March, people bought, you see, 350 million dirhams, yeah, and here only 100, almost 3.5 times more gold than in July and September, and it will be beautiful. And here, starting with October and through December, the sales plateaued or leveled out, with people buying something around 200 million, paying 200 million dirhams every month for gold, something like that, you see. And it started with the level of 200, and we can say that how many months were showing 200, January, almost February, 1, 2, 3, almost 4, 5, 6, 7 months out of a year were at about the level of 200 million dirhams. Yes. So we can say that this this line graph didn't show any major oscillations. You can call them oscillations, vacillations, or fluctuations. There is a stylistic difference between those terms, so you're welcome please to dive into it and go to some forums and read. Okay, my friends, so let's describe this beauty now. As usual, I'm clicking retry. Yes, now I have 20 seconds with something to look and discuss with you again. So try please to feel what would you say here. The main thing is not what I say, but what would you say and how. Remember about those actually, well, it's okay. Maybe I will not use them a lot, but maybe yes I will. It depends on your style. Okay, let's start. So in this line graph, I see the amount of Dubai gold sales in 2002, and I clearly see that mostly, let's say in 6 or 7 months out of 12, the sales were somewhere at 200 million dirhams a month. Though we have one peak in March where people spent about 350 million dirhams for gold, and in July and September there were some inconsiderable troughs and where people spend about 100 million dirhams. So if to compare, we see that the amount of sales in March exceeded those in July and September like by 3.5 times, something like that. Overall, however, the trend is horizontal, so this was a plateau. Okay, something like that, you see. I'm sure my answer would get a decent score. It's believe me, I know what I'm saying because I have a huge experience of tutoring people, and then we discuss with a lot of them their results, and so I know their style, I know their level, and I know their results. So if I have tutored several hundreds people, so you see it can be inferred that I know what I'm talking about. Okay, my friends, so think please, how would you and what would you speak here? If you feel that it's not a big deal for you, very nice. You can go at PTE and get your 80 out of 90 or even more and be happy. If you feel that it's a nightmare for you, then you should get ready. You remember that there are some, let's say, desired and preferable terms for increase, decrease, something like to increase, to soar, yeah, then to decrease, to plummet, to plunge, to drop. All of them are welcome, but you should feel the context, because only to know this singular verb is not enough to get a high. You should sound natural. Yeah, you remember that phenomenon of collocations. And so to work out those collocations, you need to practice. And those tasks as speaking and writing, I'm sure they require a tutor. Without a tutor, you can do something, but how can you assess yourself? You know that by those laws of coaching and mentoring, it's very difficult to coach yourself. If you're an extremely intellectual person, maybe yes, it's possible, but anyway, it's difficult. If you're an average, no, I don't want to call you an average person, but it's difficult. You need a mentor. So writing and speaking always require a tutor to improve, of course. Otherwise, I don't know a way how you can improve, how you can analyze yourself. You can listen, you can record and listen to yourself. You will say, oh my God, I don't want to go anywhere. Yes, probably if you do it 100 times, you will improve. However, with a tutor, you will improve in 5 sessions what you can do in 100 sessions on your own. Okay, if you need a professional assistance in preparing for PTE, Duolingo, and IELTS, you're welcome to contact me. And my contact details are in the description to this video. Okay, guys, I wish you success at PTE and see you in our next video.